to work in order to get a government check.
We need to go back to where we were years ago when we didn't have big business dominating and doing everything. We need to go back to basic values, and if we have this in towns, we'll be taking care of the people, we'll create jobs, and we don't really need big businesses to give us what we need in life, and we'll have less need for all the social programs if we can go back to basics.
I would address this issue by pointing out that it's a complete fallacy that the social safety net is better provided for us by the government than it is by ourselves. Our $15 to $60 trillion in debt, and yet we still have needy, we still have hungry, proves that no matter how much the federal government attempts to spend on this issue, it will never be enough, and it'll just drive us further and further into debt. I would also point out that the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution reserves to the states and to the local communities and to our citizens all those powers that were not given to the federal government. And so these ideas of a social safety net or these federal social welfares they're not constitutional. They were never intended to be handed out at the federal level. And if there is supposed to be any type of this activity going on, it was reserved to our states, our citizens, and our local communities to handle under the 10th Amendment. So I don't accept the premise that these type of things are provided better by the government, as we've clearly seen over the last 100 years that they are not. And I also do accept the notion that these are reserved to our states.
I'm promising to submit a balanced budget to Congress in the year 2013. That's a 43% reduction in Medicaid and Medicare. And what I tell anyone who falls off the chair with regard to Medicare, you're going to cut Medicare by 43%? You know what? If we don't cut it by 43%, we're not going to have Medicare. There will be no safety net. What we have to do is balance the federal budget, and in this case, we have to cut this spending by 43%. I reformed Medicaid in the state of New Mexico. Based on my experience with Medicaid, I believe I could have overseen the reform of Medicaid in New Mexico and Medicare in New Mexico if the federal government would have given the state 43% less money and given me the power as governor of New Mexico, no strings, no mandates, on how to deliver the health care services to the poor and those over 65. That's my proposal when it comes to reforming Medicaid and Medicare. Give it to the states, 50 laboratories of best practice.
Well, the problem with this whole safety net issue is that we've had this big, huge safety net for years. That net has become tattered and torn. You start to lose people when you do that. They start falling out through the cracks. The net is so large, in fact, that just like everything else the government tries to do, eventually